Welcome back to another episode on Oak and Rock Fatherhood. I'm your host, Zachary Small, joined by Oak and Rock co-founder Anthony Migliorino. Anthony, what's going on, brother?
What is happening, bro? How we doing?
I'm doing well, man. So we're talking friendship. I consider you a friend, Anthony. You consider me a friend?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now we're talking about how to teach our children the value of friendship. One of the things that we were talking about, this is what we're going to record, what we're going to roll with. I thought it was pretty important, not just because I think it is a great lesson for our kids to learn. I mean, how do you decipher what's a good friend, what's a bad friend? But more importantly, how do parents embody that and show them what good friendship is? And the reason that's so interesting to me is because a lot of the issues we see, and this is obviously from Fraternity of Excellence and just the men I work with, one of the biggest issues they have is they don't have any friends that do anything. They don't have any friends that like really get after it. And so you have to ask the question, what does the title friendship mean? Is that somebody that you've known a long time? Or is that somebody that has your back and will answer the phone if you call at 1 a.m? Is that somebody who will loan you money? Or is that somebody who'll help you bury a body? Or is it everything or is it nothing? And everything in between. So Anthony, let's just set the playing field straight. What does
Yeah.
friendship mean to you? Just the title.
The definition, friendship. I would say, we were talking about this before. One of the most important things is honesty, but also I think for me and the people who I choose to have in my life and consider friends is the quality of character. Right. I don't care about having 100 friends. I want to have maybe 5, 10 really good friends. And so for friendship for me to be good and for it to work, um, obviously the important things are people who motivate you, people who are going to encourage you to do good things, people who are going to be honest, who are going to tell you the truth, not just yes you to death, um, and also people who live their life with virtue, right? People who themselves are honest, people who have good character, where they're confident in who they are. They display good quality traits that you would want to see within yourself, right? Setting the example, the same way we say we want to set a good example for our kids. I think it's important to have people around you who you look up to, and you say, "Hey, man, I want to be like more like that person," right? They emit some good qualities. They radiate goodness and excellence. So I think it's important to have a high standard with who you bring into your life.
I agree with that. And I've had great friendships. I've had horrible friendships. And I've learned lessons from both. They both were educational. The reason I think it's important we lay this out first is because we're building upon a term that means different things to different people. And I think some, especially adults who, especially family men, if we're going to really niche it down, they forgot what friends are. And so for me, I agree with you. I mean, obviously you covered the main things: integrity, honesty. I need to know where you stand. But there's two others that are kind of maybe off most people's list. And one of those is I'm going to say entertainment, but not like a clown. But like I like friends who are out and doing things and I see them like, "Oh, that's interesting as shit." Like people that are in my innermost circle are doing incredible things that I'm just like, that is, and again, entertainment is not the right word. I'm just impressed or just motivated or fueled by what they do. And so my life, the mantra is acted non verba, deeds, not words. You can say you're a friend, you can say you're a motivated dude, you can say you're somebody that's aligned with what I'm aligned with. We're going to go forward and seize the day. But if I'm always seizing the day and I always look back and you're 40 steps behind me, well, you don't really want to do the things I want to do. You don't really stand for the things that I stand for or really have much overlap with what I want to do. So I can't really, you might be somebody I like, but to be a friend, well, you're somebody that's rolling and doing your thing too. And so therefore I'm helping you as you're growing. You're helping me as I'm growing. We're working together. We're sharing the details that aren't out in the world. That's somebody I can rely on and count on. And that to me is a friend. So of course you've got to be able to tell me the truth on things. I need to know your real opinion. If I'm slipping in any way, I need you to say, "Hey, you're doing this wrong." And that kick in the ass, for many, that might be something that they think isn't what a friend would do. A friend would support you. But would you really say that a friend would allow you to drive full speed into a wall? Or would a friend grab the wheel and say, hey man, we got to take an exit. You're gonna literally die here. We got to go right or left. And so that's the question I would like to put in front of anybody that says, no, a friend has your back. No, man, a friend has your back if you're going to fight somebody. You need to go and kick some ass. There's a group over there. That's a friend. But a friend's not somebody who's like, hey, man, yeah, let's totally do that thing that's going to fuck your life up. If I said, hey, Anthony, I need to get sober. I got to drop the booze. It's going crazy. And you're like, no, dude, what you need to do is take some shots of tequila with me because we're going to Mexico. Let's go fucking party, man. And I'm like, bro, I just told you, like, I'm going to fucking die. like we can't do that. I need a friend who's down to ride with where I'm going to. So those things to me, they make the total package of a friend. A friend is somebody that you can trust. A friend is somebody that's doing shit, like their actions show you who they are, and they're willing to tell you, like, bro, you're fucked up. If a friend can't tell you when you're fucking up, they're not a good friend. And for these reasons, and that's how I kind of put them into the category of a friend, that title is very important and should be guarded. I don't think everybody should be your friend. I don't think you should give that title to everyone. I think you should be specific. And with me thinking that and acting that and living that, that is how I'm embodying it and starting to share that with my kids. It's good to be a good person. It's good to do kind things and help people that need it, but it's not good to try to be somebody that everybody likes. That is not the objective. And it's kind of a fine line when you're talking to kids, but that's what we're going to dive into is how you walk that fine line and how you be who you are. You do the right thing, but you don't compromise your integrity for those around you to feel better or feel like you're going to be their friend.
Yeah, I think with our children, you should always be setting them on a course where they're going to be their true self, right? Who they genuinely are, and not change that to fit in with a group of friends. And we see this all the time, right? Where a lot of the peer groups have so much influence over kids these days. And I think a lot of that is reflective of how we lead ourselves as men, right? If we're having people in our life who don't treat us good or treat us poorly, and they're constantly criticizing us or trying to manipulate us, or they genuinely don't have our best interest, right? We show that to our kids. And of course they're going to have these low standards within themselves, right? They're going to want to just be around people. There's going to be really nothing besides the obvious belonging that's going to keep them within a circle of friends. So it's important, especially when our kids are young, that we do set the example, right? We're making sure that the people we have in our life are good people. But even more so, we want them to know what the bad people look like, right? With the people who really don't care about them. And it's weird because, when I talk to my kids about friendships and who they should be acknowledging as a good friend, and people who are kind to them, people who motivate them, people who push them to be better, it's tough to see as a kid, right? It's tough for them to see the people who might not be good, the people who are actually adding negativity to their life. So I think getting back to honesty, we have to be real clear on what those standards are, right? We can't say that, it's important to have people in your life who who um, who might put you in a position that's going to harm you. And I don't mean encouraging you to do hard work, but put you in a position where you're going to suffer some negative consequences. And you're just doing this to follow along, right? Just to be accepted. And it's tough when I see my kids go through things like this. We just recently moved down south, and my son, his transition was a little rough at first, right? He had to meet new friends. And what's cool is once he started rolling and he started being a little bit more confident about the move, he started hitting the gym a lot. And he said to me the other day, he was like, "Hey, Dad, it's kind of cool that the new people that I've met, the new friends I've met at gym, right? They motivate me. They want to see me lift more. They want to see me get better. They offer me insight and they support me in that." And he's like, I think about it. I didn't have that from a lot of my friends back home. So it's cool to see him connect the dots, right? It's cool to see his gears spinning and starting to understand that there's there really is a lot of good people in the world who can help you become stronger. You just have to take notice.
What's interesting about that, and I was thinking a bit about it, so you guys moved and they had to start over, and he's finding guys that motivate him in the gym, which is awesome, 100%. But I'm looking at this, and I just went through the friends in my head. None of them, not a single one, are within my real local physical proximity. I'm friends with you. We've got Phil Foster, mutual friend. I've got several men inside FOE that are friends. Like, they've earned the title. They're in that little bubble of mine. None of them though do I see daily. I don't see any of you guys. We're connecting through FOE. We're connecting through right now. On Zoom and whatnot. But the thing is, as you grow, I think you have to constantly be reassessing that title of friend. So your son, let's keep rolling with that example. He's here. These guys are helping him lift. If you were in New York and he found these guys in the gym, would his other friends have been like, no, dude, don't go to the gym. Let's keep doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so then you've got to decide, and that's hard for a kid because, we teach that, racism, discrimination, all these things. Kids, they're not born like that. Now there's a whole scientific thing to that. Like, yeah, people who look alike, they do group together, but being against another race for no reason outside of their skin color, that's taught. Kids they're not born with hate in their soul. So as they grow, something I'm realizing is that they will stay friends with a kid because that kid was in their class in first grade. And so that was it. Now, even though they've been friends with that kid for 5 years, 7 years, whatever, as they're coming up through elementary and middle school, they feel loyalty to that kid. But the older they get, if that kid's going the wrong way, your child's going to be faced with a decision. Do I stop being their friend? Why would I do that? I've known them forever. But at the same time, and like your son, these guys want me to be better and stronger and faster and smarter. And these guys want me to just hang out and kick it and relax. Do I turn my back at the people I've known forever? Or do I join the squad that's looking to elevate? Now, it's easy for us to talk about this now. You moved, so he doesn't have a choice. He found a better squad. That's fantastic. But the people that are just, they're still in the same town or whatever, it's hard to break out of your friend group and go to another friend because there's a sense of betrayal there. You turned your back on us. And so how do you teach your kids that evolving and leveling up and growing and improving as a person is not a betrayal to a friend? A friend would want you to do that. They would cheer you on, or they would say, hey, either not take me with you like some weird sidekick, but dude, I want to get better too. So how did you do what you did? Like, and then they would start to work like that. And all of a sudden that squad is joining him with the new squad in the gym. How do you teach your kids to get over that weird hurdle of, I guess, evolving, outgrowing your peer group?
Yeah. I mean, I think it starts with you, right? You have to take an audit of your own life and see the people in your life, if they're adding value, if they're supporting you. And that only happens if you're continually raising the bar within yourself. If you have low standards, of course your friends are going to have low standards, right? You're not going to be surrounded by better people if you don't really feel good about yourself. So there's an element to that where you have to make a decision to really push forward and say, I want to improve, I want to become a better man. And I think those are great examples to show your kids. A lot of times, like you were saying, we, especially with kids, they just want to be surrounded, right? It's how many friends they have on Facebook, how many people know them, as opposed to what is the quality and the value that these people are bringing to their life. And sadly, I think a lot of people in adulthood still follow that same pattern, right? They don't really care so much if the people in their life are really good. They just care that people acknowledge them, right? People want to spend time with them. And to me, one of the biggest lessons I've learned as I become an old man, time is limited, right? I don't want to waste time around people, not people who are always pushing me, but people who have no vision, right? People who see the world, or they see reality as like, this is just it, right? They're stuck. They can't do anything about it. And I want to, I had to realize that I wanted to be around people who, see things as there's possibilities everywhere. That in order to improve and get better, you're going to have to take the steps to get to those positions. And it's not going to be easy, right? There's going to be ups and downs. So I wanted to be able to show my kids that. And I had to live it within myself, right? I had to show them the exact example. And it doesn't mean, like you were saying before, Zach, it doesn't mean that bad people are not going to come in. right? Unfortunately, you have to weed them out. You have to see the people who, I guess, the people who are their intentions aren't really to build a friendship. It's rather to improve their status, to build themselves up. And you can see these people easily, right? You can see the people who, when things get tough, instead of trying to help you or support you in your growth, they're constantly nitpicking and telling you all the things you're doing wrong. Now, if you take this down to a child's perspective, children are easily damaged, meaning that the brains aren't fully developed, right? They have these receptors that just crave attention, they crave connection. And that's why we say it's so important as fathers to connect with our kids instead of criticizing them and pushing them down. Have teachable lessons, add value to your kid's life. Um, and that's something, you have to set the example in your own life, but it's also something you have to do with parenting. So when your kids are around people who are not supporting them, who are not good for them, they become aware of it, right? They know it, they see it. And if if you're not actively showing that in your parenting, there's going to be mixed signals, right? They're going to allow these people who are shitty into their life, and they're going to attach to them. And what happens is they're going to say, I really need to be what these people want me to be, and I really need to do what they want me to do, instead of saying, hey, I really need to focus on myself and improve who I am. And it's a bad trap, man. It's a really destructive pattern that a lot of young people fall into, and it unfortunately there's a lot of negative consequences to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that easy to see yourself slipping into it either. And I'm thinking about some of the recent examples. I've seen new men joining FOE that are like, hey, I was doing some things and I had a lot of plans with these guys. And then month after month after month, we kept planning and planning and planning. And I realized the people that I was with didn't want to execute on the plans. They wanted to talk about them. And this is a conversation I had like 2 or 3 days ago. And the guy was just like, I want to be around people who want to do things. And he saw that inside FOE, men were doing stuff. And so that's kind of what brought him to us. But I look at it and I'm like, how many months did that go on though? Like you didn't even realize that your friends weren't going to do anything. So sometimes it's not easy to catch. The person comes to you and you think they do have your best interest in mind. They do want to help you grow and do these things. But you can only maintain that chameleon look for so long. And I think some people look into, especially the ones who grew up in homes where manipulation was normal, they
Yeah.
learn that skill set very early, meaning they're much better at it. They've had a lot of practice. They understand what to say and how to make you feel bad or guilty. And so they'll manipulate you like, oh, you don't want to go into the gym. Those guys, that's all they care about it. And you're like, oh, yeah, I don't want to go do that. No, it's not that they didn't want you, that those people were bad for you. It's that friend didn't want to let you go. They wanted you all to themselves. And so you see this in relationships. It's not just friendship with your bros. It's relationships with your boss. It's relationships with your spouse. All of your relationships, they also fit into that friendship mold. How do you interact with another? What do you look for in another? Are they beneficial for you? So when we say friendship, but I'm also thinking, in the work setting, in your relationship, your marriage, whatever, you're looking for a person that's going to be there, that's going to either help support you with what you're doing, that's going to be like a motivator that bounces ideas to help you help yourself, or it's somebody that's just going to be there that, again, I use the term entertain, but it's just somebody that you're going to have a good time with. You're going to enjoy their company. They're just somebody that makes you happy about life. Maybe they don't help you improve your business. Maybe they don't answer the phone when you call at 1 a.m, but every time you're with them, you guys have a great time, and they just they're enjoyable to be around. And so your friends, you need to understand what category they're falling into. And if a person keeps falling into the category of always bringing you down, always telling you why your ideas suck, always telling you why it's a risk for you to start that business, to go do that thing, maybe they're not the best for you. And no matter how long you've known them, maybe they're not really a friend. Maybe they're just somebody that and that maybe they know you intimately. Maybe they're a family, quote unquote family friend, but your families met. Your families lived next door to each other. You knew each other for a long time. Your loyalty isn't to them, though. You should never, ever feel ashamed at putting yourself first or putting yourself out there in front of your friends. Hey, guys, I'm looking to build this thing. Your friends would say, yeah, dude, go do that. That's fucking awesome. And you talk about embodying it. You moved your entire family, sold a business, and went 600 plus miles and did something. And I was just like, holy shit. Like, look at that dude. He literally, like, you literally did that before our eyes. In our last video that we were recording for Christmas time, we were talking about you just did it. We aired it. You were on the Family Alpha podcast. Years later, you're moving your whole family and starting a new life, out of the hustle and bustle of the city. Our mutual friend, Phil Foster, started a business with supplements. He's running Phil Foster Fitness. That dude was just a carpenter a few years ago. All he did,
carpenter.
He was the carpenter. But when you look at it, that guy, he's a construction guy, totally reinvented himself. And when we were first talking about the supplement line and all this, he came, we were all having a conversation. Like, fucking do it, dude. Go. How can I help you? Where can I help you? Here's what I think you're going to run into. And with both of you, and then a lot of the FOE men, when they come in with their plans, sometimes we do blow holes in them, but it's never with the intention of bringing that person down. With your move, I remember saying a few things like, hey, well, did you think about this, this, and this? What about that, that, and that? Not to shit on the parade, but to say, hey, man, I want you to succeed. So let's make sure all your weak points, every hole that could be there, we double check and make sure you're not going to sink the boat. Same thing with Phil. We asked a million questions. He had all the answers. All right, cool, man. Now I'm totally comfortable with you doing your thing. In FOE, we have a lot of men going through a lot of things, and we have to say, hey, dude, I think you're fucking up. And here and here and here, what about that? I got this business idea. Did you think about this, this, and this? Sometimes it comes across as, dude, you're just fucking dunking on me. It's like, no, man, you're not used to somebody caring about you so much. They'll say the things that you might not want to hear, but they're saying them in a manner for you to grow. So if you can balance that, if you can find that fine line where you have people who say the things you might not want to hear in a way for you to grow, you can understand the difference between being used and manipulated and somebody saying something you might not want to hear, but it's the truth. And it's just them saying, hey, I said this, you make your own choice, but at least my conscience is clear because I told you there is a possible consequence you might not have thought of.
Yeah, and that's a really tough lesson to learn.
It's called tough love.
Yeah, no, but especially with your children. With a grown man, right? We should have no remorse about putting it out there and saying, speaking our mind and say, hey, listen, man, I don't know if you're going about this the right way. And those are what friends should do, right? They should help you take off the blinders and make you see something that might benefit you. So there's a difference between putting down and criticizing and saying, hey, this is your weak spot, right? We need to work on this. And as a grown man, that's a great friendship to have. I think with children, though, kids are very impressionable. So we have to be really clear. Like if you're a father and you think that being hard on your kid is going to make them grasp and understand ideas, it's not. Right? It just simply doesn't work like that. They're not capable. They're not going to understand that. Right? They're not going to understand I'm doing this for your own good. So we have to make sure that especially when our kids are little, right, that we're constantly building them up. We're not pushing them down and saying, oh, well, they need to know the truth, right? They need to know that the world is tough, that things are going to be hard. They have plenty of time for that. So when your kids are little, you're actually shaping and molding their brain to handle these tough times. And during that development, if what you're constantly doing is badgering them and pushing them down, it's going to stick, right? It's going to carry into adulthood. And then they're going to be that man who anybody who offers advice, or it's going to seen as a criticism, even if it's constructive criticism, right? There's going to be a distortion to it. So I think it's important to acknowledge that. And also, with your children, and I can guarantee you this happens because I've seen it with my own kids, right? As you're constantly building them up, they get this confidence about themselves, right? They start to believe that the path they're going on, you know what, it might not be the right one at this moment, but I'm going to go all in and I'm going to try it and I'm going to push forward. And that's when you start to see, the distinction between the friends who really care and the friends who don't, right? Because if you're going away from the crowd, 9 out of 10 times, the crowd is going to push back against you. And it really doesn't matter what it is, but you want to make sure that your kid is confident enough to go that path, right? To walk alone at certain times. And then the beauty of it is, like I was saying with my son, is when you do break away from that and you start walking alone and you start building yourself and actually following your heart, right? Going after something that you love to do, you're going to see there's other people on the other side, and they're going to be like, hey man, come over here. We think what you're doing is awesome, right? We want to support you in it. And to me, that's growth, right? You have to be in that constant state of growth. And so it's really important as your child is developing to remember that we want to build them up, and we want to promote goodness. We want to promote that honesty. And there will be times when they get older that you're going to have those tough talks about how hard life is, but they'll be ready for it, right? They'll be able to understand it, and it won't be seen as an attack against them.
And there's also I would guess the hierarchy. When you walk into something, you've got to find out how this place works. So when it comes to friendship, we all recently moved to a new spot. And I remember one of the football practices, the kids were all doing something like a game they played. And my son had no idea how to play it because these kids all grew up together their whole lives. We're the new family in town. And so he was just sitting on the side. And I was just sitting on the back of the truck, just watching and see what he would do. And you could see his brain going back and forth of, I want to join them, but I don't want to look dumb in front of them. I don't want to clearly show I have no idea what's going on. And he back and forth. And then he walked to me and he's going to sit in the truck with me. I was like, what's up, buddy? And he's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to hang out. I was like, no, man, let's go figure this out. And so I helped bridge the gap in that moment. But afterwards on the car at home, that's when we had the talk. So by help getting me there, I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? Oh, I played like I didn't know what was going on. Tell me the rules. But as they explained it to Coach Zac, my son was getting, all right, here's how you play, little man. All right, go play. And then he did, and it was cool. But I explained to him, it's like, in that moment, these kids are also kids. They just want to play and have a good time. If you go in there and you just genuinely say, hey, guys, I don't know what you're doing, but I want to join it. That will be well received in a community of kids who are just playing a game. They're just going to do their thing, and they might test you. All right, new guy, and they might pick on you a little bit. Hey, let's get him because he doesn't know the rules. He hasn't figured out the ways to cheat around it yet. That's cool. That's how you start finding your way into this thing, into the dynamic. I see a lot of kids coming from homes where maybe they're just sitting on the tablet all the time. Maybe they're always on a screen. And then you bring them to a group of kids. Let's say you go to a park and there's a bunch of kids in the playground. They're uncomfortable going and speaking to those kids because they haven't developed that sense of linguistics yet. They don't know how to have a conversation. They don't know how to meet somebody new. So one of the issues a lot of kids are having, especially if you're going to a new town, playing a new sport, or in just a new environment at all, is you have to teach your children how to speak to people to work towards the friendship. You don't just drop in and we're friends. No, we got to communicate. I've got to get to know you. You've got to get to know me. Well, that requires speaking. And if your kid just sits on a tablet at home, they go to school where they're quiet at their desk and then they come home, well, they're never developing that. So you could go as far to say, well, how do you develop that? How do you show them? Well, hey, mom and dad, glad you asked. You get the fuck off your phone. You speak to your kids. You have conversations. I know this is some
amazing concept,
shit, but that's if your child can sit and speak to you and they are comfortable asking questions, they're comfortable disagreeing with you. If you can get a kid that can do that, your child will be much better when they go with these other kids. And the reason I shared the story of my son is because I do talk to him all the time, and I could see that inner turmoil. And he did make the decision to come with me and not go play. So on the ride back, I'm like, hey, what's up? What was that all about? They are kids. They're not going to perform perfectly. They might need your help to kind of get them to bridge that gap. So if you do talk to your kids, you have them all built up, they're still struggling. It could be something as simple as you walking them to the gate and saying, hey guys, what's up? Hey, this is little Susie. She would like to play. All right, cool. Done. Lifelong friends right there. And all you had to do as a dad is recognize your kid was struggling and then just help them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 100%, Zac. They need that little push sometimes. And as fathers, we often forget that. And I think a lot of fathers in that position that you spoke about, they might see their son as weak, right? They might call him, stop being a fairy, go over there. And again, that's all you're doing is pushing them down, right? You're being motivational and saying, hey man, there's nothing to worry about, bro. You're awesome. Go, let's go talk to those kids, or I'll come with you. And at certain ages, right, it's appropriate. Absolutely, young kids. If your kid's like, 19 years old and you have to walk them into a group of friends, might be some other issues going on. But I will definitely, I want to pinpoint, how important it is to have high standards. standards within your own relationships, especially friendships, and what you show your kids. Your kids are going to follow your examples. They're going to follow your lead. And if you're around people that you're constantly talking shit about, right? If you say these people are my friends, and you sit down and you're talking to your wife and you're constantly talking shit about these other men, your kids see that, right? They're not dumb. They understand what's going on. And what's going to happen is they're going to normalize that, and they're going to be around people who they don't like. And they're going to, fall into that category of shit talking, and, not just being around good people, because they're going to say, well, dad does it, right? Why, if dad doesn't like that guy, why does he hang out with him all the time? So you have to be really clear of the examples you're setting. And I think, what comes with that is, in the gossiping portion, and, people just who have really bad vibes and are very negative. Um, you want to teach your kids to not be around that, or even speak up against it. Like bullying is a perfect example. So if your kid is around a group of other kids, and one of the children start to bully another, right? Don't go along with it just because you want to be accepted, right? You don't want to be the one getting attacked either. Teach your kids to stand up, man, for what's right and what's good. And again, going back to my example, you have to do that within your own friends or within your neighbors, anybody you come in contact to. If I'm out with my kids and I see another parent screaming and yelling at a child, or hitting them, my kids know I'm gonna speak up, right? They know I might say something like, "Hey, bro, take it easy," and that won't embarrass them because they know what dad is doing is right. If we were out and we saw a lady yelling, if we were in a restaurant and the lady was yelling at the waitress, really mean and rude, I would tell the lady to take it easy, right? Relax. What are you yelling about? You know, show some kindness, and not in a threatening way, but just like, hey, have some humanity. And my kids know that, right? So I'm constantly teaching them that lesson, that not only do they want to have good people in their life, but they need to be the person who's good, right? They need to be showing other people that they're not going to stand for bullshit in their life.
And the best of friends will support that. The friends that you have in your network should never ask you to not be who you are. If you ever came across, if we're out in something and you're going to talk to somebody because they're going nuts, I'd be like, yeah, dude. Like now there's two of us. I mean, this is Open Rock Fatherhood. So that'd be the worst duo to be a shitty parent in front of. Like, we're looking for that shit.
We will
But
talk
I'd
you
be
to
like, yeah, man.
death.
I would totally be like, yeah, no, we got to handle this. We're looking to change some things and you got to address it when you see it. So if I were to go and do something, you're going to say, Zach, don't do that. You're going to cause a scene. I'd be like, who the fuck are you? I need
Yeah.
to be able to rely on you. I need to, like, I shouldn't have to ask, hey, man, like, we're good, right? Like, your friends, you should know, have your back. Not to the point where they've got to like destroy themselves, their brand, and their entire reputation so you can get by with some bullshit. No, I'm talking like real world. If you have friends, there is a responsibility that comes with that title. And that's what, it's a real issue. And I think that falls to kids. Well, he's my friend. He's an asshole to you. Yeah, but I've known him a long time. He's my friend. That's not a friend, dude. That's a bully. That's a leech. That's a parasite in your life. You got to get rid of that. And
Yeah.
you see it with a lot of men. There are a lot of men who have friends from high school, they're drinking buddies or whatever, that totally dunk on them. They're just constantly shitting them, jabbing them, talking about how they're not bad enough, their ideas are stupid, whatever. And they're just like, yeah, well, it is what it is. And then when it's time to like ride or die, like, hey, I need a squad to come help me with my kids' fundraiser. I need somebody to come help me out with building this shed, somebody to come out and build a garage. They're like, yeah, dude, I'm there. Like, let's go. Like, this is what I'm here for, to help you. And I might not want to do this, but you need help. And someday I might need help. So you come help me build my shed, my garage, or whatever. Like, apparently we're Amish in my head right now. But that's the thing. You do these things, and that means if you are a friend and it requires you to go out of your way to support your buddy, that's what you do. And your kids, they need to see and understand that too, that look, if you're going to make a friend, if you're going to have somebody and be your friend, they're going to have your back. And when they go and do something, you have their back. And if there's ever a line where you say, I can't support you in this, you tell them that. Hey, I can't go where you're going anymore. That's too far for me. I like you. I enjoy you. We are friends, but I can't support you on this one. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. That shouldn't lead to a breakup of the friendship. It's just saying, hey, dude, you're going further than I'm willing to go right now. You're going to have to go on your own, but I want you to know this so you don't go that far and turn to call for help and expect me to be there. And that too is something I've seen play out to where the friend is uncomfortable saying, I can't be with you on this, or I don't support this decision. And with things like the vaccine, the masks, a lot of closures, you're seeing a lot of friendships tested, a lot of relationships, unfortunately, over these little trivial things that really don't fucking matter, have absolutely shattered families and friendships because they made things that had nothing to do with them as friends a part of that friendship. Whether you get vaccinated or not, I don't give it. You do you, man. And that goes for all my friends. Like, do you? I'm going to do me. Like, because we're friends doesn't mean we have to agree all the time. And that's okay. It goes back to our point of not being a yes man. Sometimes I'll say no. You might still do it. That doesn't mean we're not friends. It means that you made a choice I didn't support. You're a fucking individual. You're not my twin, my clone, my little pet. You're a human being. And as long as that's always held at the forefront, that we're individuals that are working together, it makes things simpler. And if you can teach your kids that, they don't feel bad if little Susie didn't help them out that time. Like, no, it's cool. That's your buddy, but like, they're not your pet. They don't have to do all your commands.
Yeah. I don't I don't want to keep hitting on the truthful and honesty part, but I will. So you definitely
This is our
have to
channel. We can do
be.
what we want.
No, you definitely, and when I say honest, I don't mean like always telling the truth. Be honest with who you are. What you were saying before, Zach. You have to be comfortable enough in your own skin to really show your true colors. Um, and even going back to before the example, right? If me and you were in a restaurant and you started acting very inappropriately to, say, a waitress or another patron, I would say, "Yo, man, what are you doing?" Right? I wouldn't go along with it and say, "Yeah, Zach, be belligerent." You know, I'm your boy. I got your back. I would be like, "Yo, man, take it easy. What's happening?" Right? We need to something else going on. Is there something happened? Do you have another surgery coming up? Is some pain you're going through? What's happening?
Why'd you bring it up?
Um, no, so for me, and I tell my kids this all the time, right? When you build relationships with people, you have to be who you are. You have to speak your mind. No matter how ridiculous you might think it sounds in your head, your friends are going to be the ones who accept that, and they're going to tell you if you're right or wrong, and you can accept their judgment of you, right? Their opinions. That's what being in a mutual relationship is about. If you can't do that, right? If me and you are friends and I can't really tell you how I feel or what's going on in my mind, I don't have a relationship with you, right? I'm not being true. I'm not being genuine. I'm not really being there. I'm just showing you what you want to see, right? If you called me up and you were like, "Hey, Ant, did you work out today?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I really didn't." Um, how would I be fitting into the relationship? Right? I'm telling you what you wanted. You call me up and you're like, "Did you work out?" And I'm like, "Dude, I can't even put on deodorant right now. My shoulder's jacked." And I own it, right? And I'm like, you know what? Maybe in 3 months, come see me. But that's, to me, that's part of the process. We want to show our kids that living authentic, right? Being genuine, being who you are. And that is very difficult to do. It's difficult for me to do as a man. And that could be with anything, right? That could be with your family members, with this vaccine and all the craziness that's coming down the road, right? We have to be sure that what we do, what we say, and what we believe is truly who we are. Otherwise, we're faking it. We're not living. We really don't have any friendships, right? Because we're not accepting of ourselves. So how do the people know who we consider our friends? How do they even know who we are? Right? Embrace that. We did the video on raising weird kids. Let your kids be weird. Embrace that, right? Let them be who they are. This way, they'll find other weird motherfuckers that accept them, and then you'll have a whole bunch of strange dudes hanging out talking shit about parenting and helping other families. That's how this happens.
The link to joining FOE is down below. Make sure you subscribe to Oak and Rock, where weird shit happens because weird dudes get together. No, it's real, man.
Yes.
And that's actually a really good point. How can you do yourself a disservice by not living authentically? How can you receive the joy and the benefit that comes with fitting with somebody else and jiving with somebody else if you're never living as yourself? It's always a persona you have to maintain. You always have to be on, and that's a really interesting point, because if you're a father and you're saying, all right, I got this friend, and every time your kids hear you, you're talking about working out and you're talking about not hitting your kids, and your kids are like, "What the fuck, dude? You just spanked me yesterday, and you ate an entire bag of bonbons or a Doritos or some shit." Like what are you doing telling this? Your kids would be like, "What? Who is this man? It's not who he says he is." But then that is imprinted on them. I need to pretend to be somebody these people will like, or if I want a caliber of friend like that, I've got to pretend I'm like that. If you want high caliber friends, you need to be a high caliber individual or an individual that has high caliber potential in that you
Yes.
admit I'm not at 1% everywhere yet, but if you're an individual who's living authentically, you're consistent and you're working in that track, dude, I've been friends with dudes who were obese, but they were working out constantly. They were looking to get back into it. And then those men turn into very healthy men, but I was friends before they were jacked because I saw, oh, this dude's committed to the path. He just made some really shitty mistakes. So even though he was nowhere near my level, like the level of where I was operating, where I was going, what I was seeing, and I'm not saying less than a man, but he just wasn't at that point to perform where I was performing. He worked his way up. And I was like, dude, that's fucking amazing. I want a friend who's going to grind like that, a friend who's going to put in like that, a friend who can overcome a past like that. And so if you can live authentically, other people are more likely to work with you than if you try to pretend or project perfection. Because somebody who's, in the middle of progression, that's somebody that's going to go places. Somebody who thinks they're perfect or they're saying everything's right all the time. No, dude, I can't trust you because I know how fucked up life is. Like your life, if you're saying your life isn't messed up in any way, you're lying to me. And if you're lying to me, you cannot be my friend. I cannot have a liability for a friend. And people who lie are liabilities because what are you hiding? What else aren't you telling me that my name is now associated with by getting photos with you, by being seen with you, by doing things with you? If you don't air that shit out and own it, bro, you're going to compromise me. And friends don't do that to friends.
Hell yeah. Shit. No, that's true, man. It's a hard pill to swallow, right? It's again, bring it back to parenting. I think it's all about acceptance. It's all about teaching your kids to be confident with who they are, no matter how strange that might be. Even no matter how many times they take a step back, right? We want to keep pushing them to take one step back, two forward. Um, and I know that that's been pretty much my whole life, especially this year. This year has been challenging, and I'm not going to talk too much on it because we have an episode about it. But you just have to keep picking yourself up, man. And as you pick yourself up along the way, you're going to find other men who are going to help carry you. Ultimately, it's you that have to take the steps. But it's honestly, man, it's a good feeling to have to to see the progress that you make and have others compliment that, right? Be around other like-minded people. And you don't know how bad it is until you get out of that bullshit. Right? You don't realize because you're just living in these moments where you're surrounded by people who accept mediocrity and people who aren't motivated. Once you get out of it, man, it's a completely different world. And that's the world you have to show your kids. You have to show them that life is full of possibilities. It's insane to go back the other way and to think that you have to be stuck in these positions. There's always room for improvement. There's always ways that you can better your life. And a lot of it's hard work, but also a lot of it is just changing your circles and being around the right people.
Yeah, it's wild how many don't even know what a true friendship is. They're so used to either leeches or do nothings that they don't have that friend that like motivates them to be better. And then it's just that you pass them, they pass you. You pass them, they pass you. Like that's the friendship you want to be a part of because everybody's growing, and you always have something to talk about when you sit down at the fire or have the cigar or whatever. You meet up at your spot with your friend, and they have things to tell you. You have things to tell them. Instead of, hey man, neither of us have done anything this month. Let's sit and watch football and get drunk. Like that's just somebody that
That
you're
sucks.
dying. You're not living with that person. You're dying with that person.
Yeah.
So you want friends that fuel you, and that's how you teach your kids by embodying it. And I guess the final point we've yet to cover is how to make a friend. Well, dude, if you don't, for kids, it's as simple as going up and talking. Kids are natural friend makers. Hey, man, you're in my math class. We're best friends. Like, it's almost that easy. They find some kids that they roll with. I mean, right now, I don't know if you guys could hear it throughout the episode, but any yelling in the background is because we had a bunch of kids over. So they're all running around and playing. And that came through sports. They both met these kids. They're a bunch of football players for my son. And then the football players' sisters for my daughter. They're all the same age, so they're having a great time last night and today. So sports is a great way to integrate into your community, but again, I'm coming at this from 12 and 9. So we just moved to new town, instant friendship with the football team. And then that expands to the class. Hey man, I like that you do this. I do this too. I'm interested. We have the same hobby or the same goal or whatever. That's cool. Do you want to come to my house? Let's hang out and play, or I'll go to your house, hang out and play, whatever. That's how it is. And as a parent, don't make it an inconvenience. It's like, do I want 8 kids running around my house right now? No. Is it happening? Honestly, I do actually. It's a good thing for them. So let me take that back. I do want that. It's great. Is it most conducive to our life? Hell no. They're 8 rambunctious 12-year-olds. Like, they're insane. But I love that. That's life. That's why you have the family. That's a good thing, as crazy as it is. So as a parent, help facilitate your child's friendships by either bringing them to the house, hosting them at your house, meeting at parks. Don't let it be such an inconvenience that they're in your life that you're treating like they're in your way. Your kid should have friends. And if that means you've got to spend the half hour driving somewhere, come on. It's worth it for your kid to have that moment, create those memories and whatnot. Or if you want to know they're in a good spot, set them up. My wife, she's a champ. When we get off this call, I got to hook her up. She's had those kids most of today. They did gingerbread houses. They built ornaments. They watched Christmas movies. They went shopping, got a bunch of food together. They went outside and played a bunch of games. The boys were playing football meets baseball meets boxing. They were just kicking the shit out of each other and having a great time. My wife was on there, like, just hanging out with them. So they were taken care of. They were entertained. As parents, we can facilitate that. As parents, we can make that happen. Now, for your kids, Anthony, being older, I don't know if that changes or if the rules are the same there.
To a degree. I mean, they're a lot older, so they're on their own right now. But it's those, it's those stepping stones that were laid in place prior, right? Everything there's a cause and effect, or there's outcomes based on decisions we did prior. So they go out on their own. They'll meet friends. They'll talk. They'll associate with people who they want, right? Who they choose. So it's for them, it's a little bit different because the standards are already set in place. So they make sure that the people who they're choosing to spend time with are high quality, right? When your kids are little, if your son's 3 years old, you don't want to, what I'm saying is don't be so crazy to have these high standards. And if your son's like, hey, little Jimmy ate his booger, you'd be like, oh, you can never hang out with him. It's not what I'm saying, right? Don't take every word. Don't be superficial. When they're little, let them enjoy it. Like you said, man, try to facilitate that good environment where everybody's getting along, everybody's protected. And, I was going to ask you while we're on the topic, as this event was going on with these 8 children running around your house, tearing shit up, are there ever any conflicts? And if there are, how does it get handled? Or did you even just let them hash it out themselves?
So there were 2 conflicts I saw, and I didn't intervene in any of them. I just wanted to see where it went, and it could have gone crazy. I mean, they had boxing gloves on when it happened, but no, dude, they handled it. They squared up. Basically, it came down to a Democratic vote. So there were 5 boys, so there's an odd number, and they decided which game to play based off the vote. So they're like, who wants to do this? Who wants to do that? And that's how. And the ones who lost were like, fine, we'll do this first, but then we're gonna do what I want to do. And so that's how both times it was settled. But it was cool to watch. Cool. Yeah. And one of them was that game. They were literally making up the rules and getting mad that the rules were in play. It's like, you just made that shit up. What do you mean they're breaking the rule? The rule that you literally just said off the top of your head. But they did. They squared it away. And they worked very well together without us micromanaging and make sure you don't hurt each other. Make sure I don't give a shit, dude. That's why I bought this house. Go tear up the woods. Go tear up the lawn. Go play with all the sports stuff. That's why we bought it. Use it. Stay the fuck out of the pool. You'll drown. The cover's on it. That's like the only rule I gave them.
No, that's democracy at work, right? That's when you really see the value in it. Not like the United States government. But
there was cool. One thing though. Somebody asked me. Actually, I've had a few people ask. So how did you and Anthony, how did that work out? And I always say, well, he stood me up the first time that we ever met, because he didn't want to talk to me when we were at one of the conventions. I was like, but after that, I was like, it was just a DM. I was like, hey, what's up, man? And then you joined 31 DTM. We started rolling, and then through FOE, and I was like, we just both realized we give a shit about fatherhood, and we talk too much about it. So we said, why not do this thing? And it was
Let's,
weird to them because
let's
they're like, oh,
torment everybody.
you must have known each other before. No, like this is 2018, 19.
Yeah, 19 was the event, I
So it's one
believe.
of those things where I'm pretty sure it's just like, hey, what's up, man? I saw you at 21 Con. You gave a cool speech, like, and then we just started talking. And then
Yeah.
like, oh, dude, I'm interested in this too. And then we rolled with it. And then we did the Fatherhood 31 DTM. And dude, it's that easy. Hey, man, I dig your content. What's up?
Yeah.
Like, cool. Oh, like, there's some guys that are local in North Carolina will be hitting up. Like, it's that easy. Hey, man, I see you're in North Carolina. I really like your content. You want to grab coffee? Yeah. And then during coffee, you get to know more. And you're like, all right, I want to continue to know more. Or that was enough. Cool. Like, you got a lot of shit I don't want to be part of. So we're not going to hang out again.
You might be crazy. No, hey, listen, I got a good story with that real quick. So yeah, the event at 21 Con, it was something that just came across my feed. I don't know where, maybe YouTube or something. I seen an ad, and at that time, honestly, I was talking to my wife, and we were in a spot where I had my friends from high school, and we had kids young, so they were all having kids now. So I really didn't spend a lot of time with them because they were in the young kid phase, right? Chaotic, crazy. They don't have their life in order. So I didn't see them much. And we were trying to find people to hang out with and make friends. And everybody we hung out with, the husbands were completely controlled by their wives. They were spoken down to, they were criticized, they were cursed at, they were just treated like shit. And I was like, I can't do this. I'd rather stay home and do nothing. I don't want to be a part of it. So I saw the event come up and I showed her, and she's like, hey, why don't you go? And I said, what do you mean? I was thinking about it. She goes, go meet other like-minded men. And I was like, psh. Went online, got the ticket. I was like, later, babe. And I went down there. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know I didn't know who you were. I didn't know any of the speakers. I just saw the event and I was like, yeah, this sounds cool. It was the Patriarch event about fatherhood. I flew down there. I met some people, connected with some people. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here for real? But my point is for other men, other fathers, even our kids, right? Set those examples, man. Put yourself in uncomfortable spots. Be confident enough to go out and just have a conversation with somebody. Say, hey, man, I like your content. I love what you're doing, your message, right? Our DMs are always open. Reach out to us. Let us know if you're, if you're enjoying the content and what we're speaking of, because we want to keep helping fathers and we want to keep connecting the family man to improving.
And it's interesting. I love when you tell that story because you took your shot. Like you literally, you didn't know anybody. Everybody goes with a group. Like, here's my friend, my plus one. They have the buy one, get one, and 21 Con is amazing for that because it brings all the men together to see a multitude of speakers for a multitude of reasons. But that Patriarch one, I mean, that was specifically fatherhood, obviously. And it was just badass. But when you tell that story, people are like, oh, cool, you got to see. No, dude, you made the decision to go. That one step, that was the first domino. That brought this happening. Oaken Rock does not exist if you don't do that. That is 100% a fact. That's fucking wild to me when you're like, how in the cosmos did these two worlds collide, dude? And it came down to you saying, I'm going to do this. The Patriarch event, I had spoken with Craig and we were talking about, like maybe someday we'll do an FOE thing, a fatherhood thing, blah, blah, we'll do whatever. And I was like, we have Anthony Johnson. I was like, let's just use the platform. Like, so Anthony, let's fucking do this, man. Like, let's do a fatherhood focus. And he ran with it. And then it fucking happened. So for all of those things to happen, for us to meet, hang out, be like, hey, what's up, dude? And then now Oaken Rock, it's just such a wild series of events that how many other family men could have that same crazy fucking ride to changing their life for the better and finding other like-minded men if they just take the shot. Just that investment in self, that go on that trip, go to that men's group, do that one thing. With FOE, the guys who decide to go to the meetups, how that just amplifies. They're like, dude, I went paintball and whitewater rafting. And like, you can see them like, these guys are fucking real. And you can make real friendships through online means, as weird as it sounds from those coming from a non-tech background. Like, I'm 34 and we didn't really have the tech. There are people that had, like, there are men in their 50s that are linking up. They're like, holy shit, I met these guys through YouTube and they're awesome. My life is so much better that I met these guys. Yeah. It's wild, man. Like, the tech, we can use it instead of being used by it. I just love to hear that story, man, because it's cool that you're like, I'm going, and then now this. Like, it's insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, I could have stayed where I was, right, and got fat and drink beer and watch football with all the other guys and let my wife berate me and just say, "Oh,
You've
that's
had
my
more
life."
friends.
Yeah, I would have been the cool guy.
Now you're
Could have
with
stuck.
me. Let's go.
No, and the great thing about that, man, is as you grow and you get better and you expand the network, right, you're helping so many more people because everybody's attached, right? We now have Dad Twitter where we speak to guys, even more guys from all over the world, and we're connecting with them. And we did the cigar lounge with Justin Copeland. There's all these little things to it. And if Justin never reached out to us, we wouldn't be working with him.
Yep.
So it's crazy to see that ripple effect, man, and how things compound and everybody gets better, right? And when there's a group of good men doing great things, everybody's improving who's a part of it.
So we've laid it out there. Now, dads, it's on you. If you want your kids to understand the value of friendship and understand what the title friend means, you've got to embody it. You've got to live it. And then you've got to explain it, not just through your words to them, but also through your actions. Let them see you with your friends. My kids talk about Anthony and Phil like their uncles. Like, oh yeah, because they hear me talking about them. They hear some of the content just through these discussions that we have with you guys, and they're like, all right, that's what friends like. Friends are motivated. Friends make protein. Friends move their families just like we did. Like, it's just so much alignment. They hear it through you and then they pick it up. And again, like they use your name, like they've never met you, but it's just a common name because they hear me talk about it. Hey, did you see what Anthony did? You see what Phil did? Like these guys are crushing it. And so if you can do that, you're giving them that gift through your embodiment of the values, as well as breaking it down for them. So when they have to make the choice, they know my friends should make me better. My friends should improve my life. My friends should be interesting. And just like you, Dad, my friends are out doing things and they can see that they can grow and they can come to you with any questions they have because they know you're living it too. So for all those reasons, put yourself out there, start making friends, and be the dad who's connected to other motivated dads, guys who are out there doing things, not one sitting around giving the title friend to people who do nothing. Make people earn it, and when they do, keep them close. This has been another episode on Oak and Rock Fatherhood. Stay well.